up till now, especially from the parents who have missing children, lost children, sometimes refound children, and also by the first speeches this morning, where I finally got a scientific explanation of something I've been saying since I think 20 years. When I bought a book called Crimes Against Humanity, and have been reading it and reading and reading again, and I thought, this is what it is. Not many people agreed with me. When then came the Palermo, I read it again and I said, well, there's an exception for children, it's a crime. Inter-country adoption, because we talk about that, is often a crime according to Palermo. Again, the experts didn't agree with me. So I'm very happy that, and looking forward to the paper which is going to come out. So I'm going to tell you very shortly about the last 25 years of my life, my work, which is around inter-country adoption. And that is linked, of course, to everything we heard here, because we talk about children, and we talk, in fact, about demands for children, because taking children away can be a punishment for certain groups of women, but it's also because there is a demand for children. So my story is a story, unfortunately, about crime, criminal networks, lobbies, elite, politicians, in fact everything which got confirmed also this morning. I work at the European Commission in Brussels, which is one of the European institutions of the European Union. And in '99, I got a new job, which was in the Romania team, working on the accession of Romania to the European Union. One of the conditions was improve child protection, because Romania was known for these horrible orphanages and underfed children, not very well treated. And the EU was going to improve that, improve child protection, improve children's rights in accordance with the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, which exists since 1990. So I started in '99, when Romania had just implemented a new law developed by the international community with kind assistance to improve their inter-country adoption, get rid of corruption, trafficking, malpractice, irregularities, all nice words about it. And so in '99, they reopened under the new laws, and adoptions went up from 500 per year, next year 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 3,000, and anything which increases so fast, one has to ask questions like, what is going on? So I was told by my bosses, find out what's happening, who's involved, what the hell is going on. So I discovered that under the new laws, they had created a point system. So any adoption organization, international organization, individuals who brought money to Romania to improve child protection would get points. It's like air miles. If you had enough points, you would get children. So the big adoption agencies were putting lots of money into the system, got children in return, but the money didn't go to the children, the money disappeared, evaporated.
Roelie,
Yes.
toliko je jaku rečenicu rekla da je volim da ponovi. Znači, samo zbog majki tamo, da kažem, gospođa je došla iz Europske unije i radi tamo. I kaže da njeno iskustvo i njen rad otkrila je da organizacije koje daju decu, što više dece daju, dobijaju određeni vrstu poena koja se boduje u sistemu. Znači, pospešuju izvoz dece. Okay.
Okay? Okay, I don't know what she said, but I trusted this in line. Yes, so, sorry, can you? Okay, yeah, no problem. Yes, the point system. So, international organizations, charities, adoption organizations were asked to give money to the child protection in Romania, and for every, let's say, for every $50, one would get 1 point. So the organizations who got most points, so once per year or once per month more, they would look at the points and say, okay, you have 1,000 points, you get 5 children, you have 1,000,000 points, you get 50 children, etc. Well, da.
Reći joj da je to toliko važno da i meni i njima i svima preko sistema Bolena su određivala koji broj djece će koliko dobiti, ako sam ja razumela. Jel tako? Znači, deca su deljena na osnovu tih poena koje su određivali na osnovu novaca. Recimo 50 evra ako se dobije do dete, to je jedan poen, pa 10 puta 50, to je jedno dete još. Znači, žena nam je upravo objasnila kako se kroz poene određuje broj dece koje moraju da se izvezu ili daju tamo negde.
Yes, it is, yes. And so they then had the right to get children for adoption, these organizations, but they also asked money for the adoptions. So from adoptive parents, it was between, let's say, between 20,000 and 50,000 euros or dollars.
Znači, za decu se plaćalo 2 puta. Jednom usvojitelj 20 do 50.000 dolara, a jednom država, organizacija ili već uvoznik koji je. Pitaj, Milane, molim te. Znači, 2 puta se prodaje jedno dete. Ja sam upravo otkrila ono što govorim godinama, a to je da je postojao neki državni interes gore na vrhu, to znaju ovi koji me prate godinama. Znači, država je imala ne samo što se valjao taj novac na nivou ja tebi dete, ti meni pare, nego na nivou država. Recimo, to će ona verovatno i reći, recimo Josip Broz ode u Laos, nagovori Laos da da 1000 dece u Sjedinjene Američke Države. Znači, nešto se dešava na nivou bilateralnih odnosa država, a dole između ono što učare 10, 20, 50.000 dolara, to je donji nivo. To je jako važno, molim vas, ova moja crna četvorka, da to dobro zapamti. To je pravac u istragi u koji treba ići. To je pravac. Ajmo, Roelie, polako. Još.
Yes? Okay. So the European Commission then also was asked by the member states and by the European Parliament to solve this issue. And after lots of battles, we advised the Romanian government to stop inter-country adoption. But this was a long story because lots of pressure groups and adoption agencies, but also bankers or people, well, at the limit of elite criminal groups interfered. In the end, the European Commission asked for independent assistance of legal experts from the EU member states, who were hopefully less sensitive for all these lobbies. And it was decided that inter-country adoption should not be considered as a part of child protection, because that's what they wanted to do under the new laws, which were from the Hague Adoption Convention. That's a special convention for inter-country adoption. They wanted to make inter-country adoption and adoption an integrated part of local child protection, so that there were time limits on child protection. You would, for example, in Romania, A child could be 6 months in an orphanage or a children's home or a foster family, and after that it was declared adoptable. Then if the parents didn't take it back, there was 6 minutes limit, then 3 months it would be on the national adoption list, and if in 3 months there were no adopters in Romania, it would be on an international list, so it would be available worldwide. Now if you know that if you adopt a child internationally, you get between 20 and 50,000 euro. So of course, the 3 months that the child was available locally, the list was in the drawer and only came out after 3 months. These are just normal economical principles and logic thinking. And
Roelie,
yes,
slušajte.
okay.
Molim te da nam kažeš, da razumeš, molim te da nam kažeš, da li vi u Evropskoj uniji znate da Haška konvencija o izvozu dece ne postoji i da nije poštovana? Da li to znate?
This is a very good question and a very complex or simple question. On international level, we have the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child since 1990, which is very strict on intercountry adoptions. Intercountry adoption is only allowed in the absolute, when the interest of the child is paramount. No other interest should interfere. And only as a last resort, meaning that the child should first be placed preferably in the children's home, in the foster home, or with the grandparents, or any kind of local solution. Only if no solution exists.
Roelie,
Yeah?
stop.
Stop.
Super. Stop.
Da?
Haška konvencija kaže
Yeah, Stu.
da se moraju iscrpiti sva domaća mogućnosti zaštite dece. Prvo, da ostaje u biološkoj porodici, kod ujaka, strica, dede, tetke i tako dalje. Drugo, ako toga nema, da ostaje u državi u kojoj je rođeno, u hraniteljskoj porodici ili da bude usvojeno. Tek ako ga niko neće i to sve ništa nema, onda se daje u inostranstvo. Tako, moment. Ja bih molila hranitelje kojima su oteli iz kuće dete da dođu. Gde su, dragice? Sad ćete vidjeti kako se to radi u praksi. Da pričate kad se vrati. Znači, ovi su ljudi odhranili, zavoleli i imali mogućnosti da to dete kod njih ostane.
Hello. Yes. I'll just give one sentence of introduction, and I welcome you then. I'm very happy you're here. So, it is in the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child where these rules are. Normally, the Hague Convention should apply the same rules. They don't. The Hague Convention says children home or foster care is not permanent care, so we will take the child away to give it for adoption. And this is not in line with the ordinary children's rights. So,
Ali kome dajete na usvajanje? Kome dajete na usvajanje dete koje uzima iz...
I hope to hear, I think it's the child protection in the country.
Njihovo...
I welcome your story, please.
Roelie,
Yeah?
važno. Njihovo dete koje su oni podigli po našim zakonima države Srbije su imali prioritet pri usvajanju. Imaju uslova, imaju kuću, imaju primanja, vole dete i dete voli njih i dete je trebalo tu ostati. Međutim, oni su dete odveli u Švedsku bez...
Oh my God. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my God. I know about these. Can you tell me which year? Which year?
2024. 5. januara. Oni vode sud, traži da se dete vrati. Kod nas u Srbiji odlučuje jedan čovek, ministar za socijalnu politiku. Znači, zakon kaže da mora da se poštuje Haška konvencija. Ok. Ali, ima jedan član koji kaže, ako ministar odluči drugačije, ne važi Haška konvencija. Ne važi. To da kažeš kad odeš tamo.
No, but I would no, but I have said this to the whole EU. That's the whole problem. That's why I'm no longer there. That's why I was fired, because that's exactly what I have said to the international community, that the Hague Convention is undermining the rights of the child, because no child from foster care should be given to another family for permanency. It should indeed have stayed. But I can tell you that. So. I brought up the issue from Romania. Now, very fast, I got fired, etc., etc. Another colleague continued my work, and we discovered that children from Serbia and from Montenegro were sent to Sweden. We have sent letters. This was in 2000. I can send it to you later afterwards. I think it was in 2022 or something. Or a bit earlier, we have complained with written letters to the European Commission saying you have to stop Serbia and Montenegro because they're exporting children, and that cannot be. They cannot. You have to tell them to stop. So they still continue.
Da, nastavili su.
Is the child still with you? Is the child gone?
Ne, dete već 2 godine nismo videli. Kako su je odveli, ni traga ni glasa.
But so the child is in Sweden then, I guess, because before I came here, I had a look at the statistics of the Swedish adoption of agencies. It is exactly the same agencies we sent to Colombia and also to Bangladesh.
Yes.
It's Adoption
Yes.
Centrum. Adoption Centrum, yes. Yeah, it's wrong. But I have no solution because the problem is that the child is gone, but I don't know. Do you have a lawyer or yes?
Imamo jedan slučaj, Roelie,
No.
imamo jedan slučaj 2 godine u Strasburu na Evropskom sudu za ljudska prava. Ista priča.
Okay.
Ima ga u knjizi na daljnjoj strani. Ovde.
Yes, but yes.
Moment. Evropski sud za ljudska prava je najavio poništenje usvojenja i povraćaj deteta iz Švedske u Srbiju. Čekamo do jula meseca tu presudu. Ako ta presuda dođe, onda su i njihove i sve druge šanse mnogo veće. Oni su sada na srpskom pravosuđu.
Da, mi smo pokrenuli, tužili smo da bi poništili to usvojenje. Ovo smo krenuli.
Very good. And we can stay in touch. I can give you the
nadležne, znači centar koji je bio staratelj dece, centar Obrenovac konkretno. Tu se vodi, tu se vodi spor.
Ovaj dečak treba da bude vraćen.
No, I looked at the statistics of Adoption Centrum before going to Belgrade, and I saw that indeed 2 years ago, I think 2 children and
Troje.
They under the evaluation.
On je 2024. Na početku godine, u januaru. Mnogo nam je žao, mnogo. I voljeli bi stvarno da je vidimo i da je ponovo vratimo.
I hope it will work, and I hope it will also set the precedents, and it will be one of the last children. And I hope it comes back, but that's not in my powers. But we worked on these cases to tried to stop it 2 years ago.
Borit ćemo se. Ja bih stvarno voljela. Hvala vam puno i hvala vam mnogo što ste nas saslušali i što smo mogli da iznesemo ovolikom skupo u našu tužnu priču i voljela da se ovo više ne dešava nikome.
So do we all. Thank you. And
Hvala vam
speak to
mnogo.
you later.
Roelie,
Yes.
ovaj dečak što je otišao u Švedsku je iščupan od brata i sestre, rođeni. Oni su ostali, a njega su odveli u Švedsku. Naša organizacija je pronašla adresu gde je dete. I pisali smo pismo usvojiteljima. Da li može za Božić da se sastane brat sa svojom sestrom i bratom?
Yes.
Usvojitelji iz Švedske su otišli u adoption centar i rekli da mi njih uznemiravamo. Adoption centar je pisao ministru u Srbiji i rekao da se nismo tako dogovorili, da oni ne smeju da se zna gde je dete. Ministar u Srbiji je pozvao usvojitelje na odgovornost, oduzeo im licencu i zapretio da više ne smeju pisati. Toliko
Yes,
o
the same
brizi
happened
o
in
deci.
Romania with foster parents.
Da, sve smo to prošli.
Yes, but now coming back to our criminal networks and our elites and our because it all goes together. I mean, the current Prime Minister of Sweden, Ulf Kristersson, he was 5 years or 10 years ago the chairperson of Adoption Centrum. So you can see where the protection is and why the scandals cannot come out fully. In
A on je bio i direktor adoption centra jedno vreme.
Yes.
Yes, znamo. Okay. Isti čovek koji sada odlučuje
Yeah.
tu, tada je. Pošto Mihajlo živi u Švedskoj i bori se sa tom organizacijom.
Thank you very much for what. Actually, I have listened to this story. I have listened to your words and what is spoken about Sweden at the moment. At the moment, I can tell you that they made an investigation in Sweden, and the conclusions are on the table of Ulf Kristersson, our
Yes.
Prime Minister at the moment, and the Minister of the Social Minister also. But the problem at the moment, we got an answer from the ministry yesterday, where they more or less told us, okay, we have taken care of what you would like to say, but at the moment we can't do anything, or we don't do anything at the moment. So at the moment we don't know that much at all about what is going to happen and what of these 5 conclusions or those conclusions are going to be a reality or not. I have no idea at the moment, but I will follow this up because as I told his family before, I am fighting against the Adoption Centrum very, very hard. They don't like me, actually, and I will do whatever I can to let them sink like a ship in the water, you know, as soon as possible. But we are fighting a lot in Sweden at the moment, the organization against the Adoption Centrum. Hopefully, I know it still happens, a lot of illegal adoptions, but at the moment we have to fight.
Yes, I can tell you that also. I was interviewed by the investigating committee from Anna Singer, and so I had met them 3 hours in Amsterdam, and it's interesting to see that I think nothing I said was taken into the report. There was wasn't even mentioned in the contracts. So it sets the tone, but I can also tell you that I want to remain positive. The country I come from, the Netherlands, which is the host country of the Hague Adoption Convention, when I found out about this convention and I heard The Hague, I was like, what? That's the capital of my country. I feel responsible, sort of. So we have. I got fired by the European Commission by all these lobbies interfered and whatever. I'm very proud. I'm almost the only person ever being fired. So I set up before an organization against child trafficking. Long story. Everything is on the internet. And we fought Adoptionscentrum. We fought Wereldkinderen, the Dutch organization, and the whole system. And in the Netherlands, they now going to stop inter-country adoption in 2030. They say forever. Flanders, the Flemish-speaking, the Dutch-speaking part of Belgium, is doing the same. Decided last month. So I hope this is a snowball, which will also roll to Sweden, because they're all in contact. And there have been so many documentaries about our work, also from India, about Adoptionscentrum. They are so hurt, but they keep going because they are protected. But the number of adoptions is, I think, for this year they are at 15, something like that.
Oni se samo malo umire, pa kad stane oluja I kad stane napad, oni puknu. Kroz zadnjih 20 godina bilo je ovako I onako. Mi imamo decu u Švedskoj od 1973.
No, I realize that the system and sorry, Linda from Greece, US, she explained the system already from the 50s in Greece, and then they went to Vietnam, Korea, or in the other way around, I think. Then in the 80s, they were in South America, and I say they, it's the Adoptionscentrum, Wereldkinderen, it's all the agencies, which it's like a traveling circus. One country closes down, they go to the next, etc. But in the 80s, they created the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. At the same time, they created the Hague Convention. Why? Because under the UN Convention, I'm taking this off. I'm taking my glasses off at the same time. Thank you. And so the mafia, or the bunch, or the mob, or whatever, the higher level, they realized with the UN Convention, you can't do inter-country adoption anymore. So they created the Hague Adoption Convention to undermine, to change the rules a little bit, to say we can still take children from foster families, because that was what the fight was about. So in Romania, the European Union, Romania was the first country to implement the Hague Adoption Convention. The mafia called it the big test. Well, the big test failed because the EU was there. And the EU was not a lobby organization at the time, I must say. And we had to apply law, only law. So for us it was the UN Convention on the Right of the Child, and not the Hague Adoption Convention, which is a totally different private law convention. What did the mafia do? So if you want, so Serbia, Montenegro, etc., in their negotiations for accession, which are ongoing, we have to decide what we talk about. You have to say these laws are common laws, EU laws, and this is what we're going to discuss. Normally that should be the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. Because all member states agreed that is common law, we all ratified it. What did the mafia do? They infiltrated, or they had their people in the EU, and somebody put the Hague Convention on the list of laws. Without any democratic decision, just somebody changed something in some computer, and there was a list. Now one can say, mistake. Well, it happened in 2004 when I still worked there, and I found out about it, and I went to the legal service. And I said, how can this be? Yeah, we don't know, mistake. And so the Director General, my boss, wrote a letter, I wrote a letter, he signed, said, please take it off. We have to work on the basis of the UNCRC. It was done. A year later, I was fired. 10 years later, we discovered the same thing. I was in the office with a colleague from this NGO against child trafficking, and he says to me, Roelie, if I read this website, it looks like the Hague Convention is there again. I said, that cannot be. But okay, he wrote a letter to the Commission, and yeah, a month later we get a reply from Director General DG Justice saying, oh yes, sorry. Yeah, of course it's not part of the acquis, the legal basis. We took it off again. In the meantime, in the mean years, Serbia and Montenegro had, under pressure of the EU, ratified the Hague Convention. And now we find children abroad. So I don't know. I hold the EU highly responsible for this kind of. If I say the EU, I mean this mob, these groups, these mafia-like schemes which are able to do whatever, who can change things in the administration. It doesn't mean the whole EU are criminals, but there are elements in there, and people are not able to correct them. So I got fired, and since then the knowledge was gone, and so yeah, I speak with sometimes even high officials who say, yeah, but we don't know anymore. I said, no, then you shouldn't have fired me, because I knew.
It's terrible.
It is. So this whole conference brings, for me, so many things together, with the science behind what I was saying, criminal bunch, a crime against humanity, etc. Yeah, to the pain of families, to hear a couple who's lost a child because the EU has done something horrible, and I have personally written to the EU about these things. So it's kind of, sorry, it's not like I'm losing my child. You get my point. It's very close to my heart.
Roelie,
Yeah.
ovdje ti je Evropska unija kao kad hoćeš dete da plašiš da ne jede džem u tegli. Znači mi zapretimo Evropsku uniju. Haška konvencija u Srbiji se predstavlja ovako. Na televiziji izađe zvanično čovjek iz ministarstva i kaže: ja imam pisani dokument, odgovor na pitanje kad ćete ukinuti inostrano usvojenje. Oni odgovaraju: nemojte nam više pisati, mi to nećemo ukinuti. Na pitanje zašto dajete decu, zašto ne daje Hrvatska? Srbija daje, Hrvatska ne. Oni odgovaraju javno na televiziji: mi smo potpisali Hašku konvenciju i dužni smo da isporučimo toliko dece. To je Haška konvencija u Srbiji.
Okay. Anybody filming, I guess? So I can say officially, and there are enough documents which prove it, what they're saying is wrong. The Hague Convention does not oblige a country to export children. The Hague Convention formally only says that if you export children, you have to follow our rules. But the Hague Convention, being based on the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, which is a public law convention of a higher level, it's like, so they have to follow it. So, but where does it come from? They say, I don't know if I say it correctly, but the fish stinks from the head down, and the head is the European Union.
Jeste, Haška konvencija nije loša sa svojim članovima. U članu 7 kaže to, sve lepo kaže. Ali član posebno kaže...
But what is the heart of the issue? Everything is nicely written, yes. If you read it the first time, you think, what? Fine. The thing is, which children and how do children become available for adoption? And according to the...
Ima katalog.
That's true. I'm speaking Romanian.
Se u ambasadi dobije. Odete u ambasadu države iz koje želite da uzmete dete. Dobijete katalog, pošto ovo.
I know, but the point is, legally, there must be a child protection unit who says which children can be made adoptable. Normally in our countries, you're in foster care can be until 18 years old, and but the Hague Convention especially says foster care is not permanent.
Roelie, važno je sve. Njima su rekli, pazite, jako je važno. Njima su rekli da neće više država da ima trošak i da plaća hranitelje za odgoj toga deteta. I zato skidamo je sa hraniteljstva. Oni po našim zakonima su rekli, ok, ne treba više da nam plaćate, ostavite nam dete. Oni su rekli, ne, dete ide, pare ide.
No, I reckon, I mean,
tu je kvaka.
yeah, but I know because this is always the discussion that if do countries profit from intercountry adoption? Yes, in the sense that if perhaps they get even money for it, but also you don't have to pay for child protection.
Stop. Reče žena da države koje daju decu imaju od toga interes. Imaju zaradu, je li tako? Jesmo to čuli? Znači, za svako dete koje je Srbija izvedla, Dragice, dođe ovako. Ona se bori za tu priču. Jesi čula da država zaradi? Znači, ne rade oni to džabe. Znači, država zarađuje na izvozu dece. Šta mislite koliko je pokojni Joža zaradio na izvodu siročića od posle rata?
No, well, in Sweden, out of Centrum, if I remember well, the adoption from Sweden cost around, if I remember well, it's 20,000 euro. Yeah, but I know the years. Yes, it's around 23,000 euros. But apart from that,
23.000 evra, od kojih pola plaća švedska država kao nije donacija nego subvencija. Država subveniše kupca da kupi decu.
Yes, and there is more. Intercountry adoption is a sort of business which I always say the deals get made in the corridors, in the cocktail bar, or and so
deca se prodaju u hodnicima, koktel barovima, kaže žena.
They make often trade deals, business deals, and in the sideline they decide on the children. So they say, you want, I don't know, Volvo is no longer Swedish, I think, but in my head, I don't know. And just as an example, do you want a Volvo to produce Volvo in Serbia? Yeah? Okay, well, can we also have 10 children per year then? It's not in the contract, it's in the sidelines.
Evo, stop. Kaže gospođa, razgovor međudržavni. Da li želite da proizvodite Volvo u Srbiji? Da. Ok, ali da date jedno 10 deca, pride. Da li ima traga o tom dogovoru? Je li ima negdje evidentirano to oko dece? Uz biznis, uz Škodu, uz Volvo, uz Fiću, da li je negdje zapisano i toliko dece? Ili je to usmeno?
Yes, there are not many records, but for a so I didn't specialize in Sweden. I don't know everything about Sweden, but I know a lot about Romania and what they did, and I know that these kind of deals were made by the big adoption lobbyists that who act like politicians and ask for trade deals in return for other new adoption laws, etc. But yes, I know this takes an interesting turn, a very sad turn. But I'm looking forward to Strasbourg. I hope that I'm very curious. Until now, there have been in other countries there stolen children who were told to be returned, but this has rarely happened. That I have to say, it's it's a drama. Yeah, and yeah. And so the idea was with the Hague Convention, I want to finish what I had in my head very, very briefly. So they wanted, So when the EU closed Romania, let's say, in 2004, as a condition for EU membership, the lobby got active, they kicked me out, they entered the European Commission, and they started preparation for a European adoption policy, which would mean that within the EU, you would export children from Serbia to the Netherlands, from Sweden to Greece, and everybody, a European market. And luckily, I had already created against child trafficking the NGO, and we prevented this by briefing the European Commission at a high level, and we undermined their policy, so that didn't happen. But yeah, we see small, yeah.
Which year did you say they created this law or regulation in Europe, European Union?
No, well, the Hague Convention is from 1993, and they, in 2007, 2009, they started preparation for a European adoption policy, but we torpedoed that. So it didn't really work out, but yeah, we still see that Portugal, for example, Belgium now stopped adoptions because the latest scandals with an adoption from Portugal, a European country.
Ali je ostao bar nevernet. Ostao je bar nevernet u Norveškoj.
Oh, Barnabas, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's, it's not part of the European Union yet. And but yeah, it's similar. We do have big scandals in other
Ali
countries.
se Barne Vernet razmrežio i ima svoje ljude po centrima za socijalni rad, recimo po celoj Srbiji, koje plaća, primaju platu i rade za njih, i isporučuju decu. Barne Vernet.
Yeah, I know them. Yeah. No. I want to end this because I want to give the floor also to other people, and I come back to you later, absolutely. But the child protection, unfortunately, child protection is a public task, and we have everywhere in all countries. They have privatized it. This started with the UK then kind of lobbied the rest of Europe, so it became profit making. And so it attracts children into the system instead of preventing a separation of parents and children. And it is a problem that exists since the last 20, 25 years. And well, one day we have to turn things around, because if you make profitable social services, then you get a market, and we can't have a market in children. So it was a bit chaotic. On the internet you can find lots of things about me. I'm available if people want to talk or want to speak, whatever. So I leave it with this, because I can stand here for a week and haven't told everything yet, but I hope you, and I'm very touched that you are here and that we are one story apparently, so thank you for your attention. And the last thing I wanted to say, because that was one of the only things I wrote down. So I want to finish with a sentence which I read this morning. I opened the book briefly, and my first thing I read was the quote from Shakespeare: "Crime, although it has no language, speaks with miraculous voice." And that's why the initiative is Anna, congrats for that, to get these people around the table. I think it's brilliant, because we have to create a counterforce, which is official but not too official, which exists publicly but also under the table.
Bravo.
We have to play the same game. Thank you.
Hvala ti što si došla i na tebe računam.